Hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. We're going to dive in right away into the painting abyss. Alright, we're finishing up our Roman cavalry and also got started a little bit on my elephant. What did I use on the elephant, you say? I'm just starting off with some natural steel. But the important thing that I did on this, guys, is I did 50% because this Vallejo metallics tend to be thick. So what I've learned to do, especially on bigger pieces like this, is I will use half paint, half water, mix it up, get it a little on the thin side. Ew, thought I was going to sneeze. And then brush it on, because the biggest factor with any of the painting that we're doing is we don't want to hide the details. So we don't want to put really thick blobs of paint on the models. We want to keep it relatively thin. And now here are my horses. I'll do my final touch-ups on the horses. Here's the white stallion for the leader. And what we're going to do on this guy is I will do some finishing touches, but one of the areas when I'm doing the strapping and the bridle, in this case, I will only put maybe 1 drop of water with my dropper, and you got to be really careful when you're doing this strapping so that it's not too runny and it just starts to, obviously not stay where you want the paint to go. So what I'll do is once the rider here, in the case of this, once he's joined to the horse, and he'll have some red that we're going to get to here in a minute, at that point I will be able to go back and do my final touch-ups. I've already done a highlighting, so I did a white base coat, then a thin white paint, probably 75-25 paint to water, consistency of cream, and then I did a brown wash, and then I came back with just white with some water. I don't want it too thick, and that way I can come back in and do my highlights. So he's pretty well ready to go, except for some final touch-ups of red. I'm going to use some scarlet red and just little spots in here and there just to give it some nice color variation. And now, speaking of color variation, I got 2 things going on here with these Roman troops, or these Roman cavalrymen. I've got a dark red and I've got standard flat red. So I'm going to do the dark red on their garments, their undergarments, right? And like the cape or the cloak will be the red. So I don't want to always use the same shade of red. And then when I come back in, I'll use that scarlet red on the high spots, just here and there, up towards the shoulders, trailing down the side of the cloak, and that will give us some really nice color variation, right? So let's go back in with this dark red, because I've got some here that I still have to do their undergarments. I'm going to do those real quick for you, and then we will come back in with the chainmail, right? But I'm also, while I'm doing the cavalrymen, I'm going to go do in with the red on the crew of the elephant, right? The dudes with the spears, the archer, and, excuse me, the elephant driver. I want you to pay attention to this shade, because it's it will fool you. When I first use this, you see it kind of looks almost like a pinkish red, but when it dries, it's a nice rich dark red color that you can see here, right? Really works well. I like it. I think the paint consistency is good for right now. Let's get right on in here. It doesn't take long. Trail this up, check out the consistency of the paint. So I'm pulling it up like this, really kind of going for something like this, is you don't want big blobs of paint. And do this little, it's almost like a little skirting. Just a tiny bit on his legs. Let's go down on the shot a little bit and see if my camera will focus. I experimented with different settings. I can't really adjust my exposure on this camera, guys. I can, but it doesn't save your exposure setting. This is the problem. So every time I turn the camera off between segments, it does not save my exposure setting. So I've got it set to low light, and I've got it set to autofocus. So it should be good. So the way to lighten it up, I've got all this light, and because I can't save my exposure setting, so down the road, if I do go to a different style of Canon camera besides a Vixia, I'll have to make sure that it saves my exposure setting, and that will not then become my top-down camera. And you can see we got the undergarment that goes above the arms. I'm going to hit that real quick. I'm not going to do all of these guys in front of you because it'll just take up too much time. Let's do a couple of them real quick. Yeah, the paint flows nice. And yep, under the shoulder here, under the garment. Great poses, great figures. Really working well. Like a seal. That's that quick, guys. Boom, boom, boom. Assembly line painting. Here's our bugler. Check him out. It's a great pose. Yeah, I like that a lot. Moving along the top here. Whoa! Yeah, see my poster tack was a little on the old side. It's tougher on these pewter figures, guys. I'm even toying with just using super glue next time, but it's the problem with that is you have to hold the figure up until the super glue sets in. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I've only had this happen with a couple of these guys where I've got to soften back up the poster tack, come back in. Hey, we do real life on this channel, guys. And set him back in. I'm going to try to hold him at the top of the helmet. That's not going to work either. And he's just not going to cooperate. So, get rid of that old poster tack. I got some fresh over here. Hey, I have a saying, it applies to my business, everything I've done since I was a grown person. If it were easy, everyone would do it, guys. Right? If it were easy, everyone would do it. So there's some fresh poster tack. And it looks like he's going to stay. Grab him at the top of his helmet. It was like that with the horses because those horses are nice and heavy. So if your poster tack, the trick on those was make sure you're elongating the poster tack to stick all of the horse base on so you can get enough bite, as it were. And yeah, I'm going to probably have to start gluing them. These heavier minis that are not plastic. Plastic, you don't have this problem. It's just heavy pewter. And they're not, the center of gravity isn't the same. See how he's got a slight bend to his knees, so it's hard to get the figure from wobbling. So combating the dark is, again, you know, we're here in the dead of winter. If I'm not getting sunlight come through those two windows in the gaming hall, we're dealing with a lot of dark conditions, even with all this lighting. And I bought extra lighting, right, for my table. Nice studio light on a tripod, so I can really focus the light right onto the miniatures. And it's still, I have to go and post, what we call post. That just means in your editing software, I can get in and brighten things up a little bit with a couple different settings in post. So that's kind of what I have to do. Kind of a real bummer. Even my new Vixia that I'm speaking to, it does not save my exposure settings. That's a real bummer. So I got it set on, both of these cameras are set on low light. It seems to be doing better that way, and then in post I can brighten it just a touch, so it just works better that way. So I'm going to finish off these other figs. We'll bring you back in, and then we'll start on the chainmail. Hey, welcome back. We're going to dive into this project some more. I've got a lot done on these elephant riders. I've also got a lot done moving forward on the whole project. Now you can see here one of the banes of the miniature painter, and that is my brush slipped. Don't you hate it when that happens? But I'll have to go back over him with some natural steel. Now here's what we're going to do. I had to start cranking on these guys, and got it caught up making another video. Yeah, let's focus on the leader. I'm going to do some painting here on the leader for you. My autofocus on. Right. And I'm going to show you what I do. Pause my documentary, sorry. Let's go in with that natural steel. I'm going to kind of show you what I do when I'm using my Vallejos. They tend to be on the thick side. Now, I'm kind of thinking about, when I start running low on these and I start running these out, my various shades of copper, bronze, etc. I'm thinking about going back to Citadel for the metallics. Post in the comments below. I would like to really stay with this type of bottle. I know there's other makes out there I'm going to also look at for my metallics. I haven't decided yet. So just a little dab. Let's go back on the shot a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. It's kind of you can use this like this. It's not terrible. One drop of water. Right, and then I'm going to mix it, because I've just got this one dude I'm going to do for you. You guys don't want to sit and watch me paint, what is it, like 15 dudes. That would get boring really quick. I try to put some decent music on for you. Alright, so let's dive into this and get his armor. Now this is a leader, so he's going to have that articulated where it shows the muscles. It's more of a plate, it's plate mail essentially. And there's another one here I noticed. Now he's just a standard, he must be a little higher ranking troop. Right, as you see, I've started just about done with my base colors. I just got to hit the swords, there's scabbards, and you can see the difference in the reds. I wanted that contrast, because, you know, they didn't go down to the local Sears and Roebuck and order their uniforms, right?
Sears and Roebuck. Well, that was an old one. That's going by the wayside, isn't it? So what's going on the shot here, Al? And see if I can keep this guy in the shot. And I hope this camera is focusing. Again, I've got it on another setting. I don't have it on auto. So I may have to go back to auto for, it's got a better sense of autofocus. So we want to get in his armor, we want to get down here where we might be able to see once we mount him on the horse. And then once I get everything mounted on the horses, that's when I'm going to go back through and do my touch-ups. My red touch-ups, etc. And then I'll do my highlights. If I want to do any highlights, we got his sword. Right. That.
I think that's working. Let's try this autofocus off and see what it does. Focus back on.
All we can do is play around, guys. It's a work in progress. New studio, new camera. But like I said yesterday, problem solution, problem solution. So we'll just work my way through it and work on the lighting. Lighting is so critical, guys, when you're not just when you're painting. Obviously it's gonna save your eyesight. Ask any optician. A lot of the guys, they use the bronze helmets for the I'm just going for this the bare steel or this polished steel. I just like the look of it better. I'm sure it varied by units. On the box they use the box art, they use the bronze helmets. Just my own creative difference. Right, I go down and use the chin guards or the side guards of the helmet. You can see here, these are technically Macedonian troops for the elephant riders, but I've just converted them to Romans. It's not that big of a deal. Victrix, I think, has a Roman set that comes with two with two elephants. That would be good to have. It's just things are getting so hard to find, guys. And if you're here in the U.S. and you want to get on Warlord's website, and even if you use PayPal, it protects your card from getting locked out. Several months before you get those products. I'm looking them over, making sure I didn't miss anything. There's just a little base right where the plume starts in his hat. Now his plume, all the others I did red, his is going to be white. Go in with the flat red, Vallejo flat red. I've been using it, so it should be pretty well mixed up. Just a little dab. Oh, a little dab will do you. I use a lot of red. I'm not going to mix any water. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to leave it a little on the thick side, although I must have added some water to this red You see it there. You see how it wants to run down that side? I'll put the paint up on the side, see how much it runs. And it seems to be a good texture, but I don't really want to dilute it anymore, because this is the parts of the model that may get handled. You know, the top of his plume on his hat, on his helmet I should say. And this might make it last a little longer so the paint doesn't wear down, even with the protective top coat. I use the micro scale product. Go down. You don't have to get into the deep recesses, because that's gonna, like I said before, you're gonna get washed down in there. And we're going with the grain of the cloak, right? Straight strokes, straight down. Right. You may hear a little noise in the background. I've got my space heater on down here today. We've had a lot of freezing rain, cold, but it's just hovering right at freezing, so it's that kind of weather. Since there's a lot of moisture in the air, it's just gets you to the bone. I've got a dehumidifier down here, obviously. I've got heat coming down here, but just one of those days, even though I have blue jeans on today, you can still feel it. And I keep it dry down here. I've got it set at like 50 on the setting, which is 50 be your moisture content of the air. The humidity, I should say, the humidity level. So I keep it dry down here, right? And I noticed with a really good quality dehumidifier, I have built into my sump closet with my build. Spiders and critters, you don't see a lot of them when you keep it that low at 50. They just don't like it. They don't like it that dry. That's about good for the cloak. You don't have to get all crazy. I put way too much red paint out. That looks good. I'm gonna do like a leather brown for their scabbard and for their boots. That'll give us some really nice contrast. Oh, almost forgot. His plume on the top of his. Oh crap! I said I was gonna do that in white, didn't I? See guys, it happens. So let's get that off. You're not gonna be able to. I'm just gonna have to do a couple coats of white. Probably start with a cream. Right. It's drying pretty quick. We can do the outside of his shield in red, which I'm going to do all their shields in red. I don't have the decals for these circular shields, so it's totally fine. I'll leave that bit down the middle metallic. You could do a two-tone shield. I guess that would kind of look cool. You make one side of the shield red, one side of the shield white. That kind of look cool. Maybe we'll go that route. That might be a nice variation in color, actually. And then I'll do the back sides of the shields with Vallejo new wood. right. Alright, so I screwed that up. So yeah, let's just attack that right now. That red's drying really quick. Let's pull that together. I got my low light on and it's still a little yellowy. Not too bad. I don't know that I have a real true cream in my arsenal right now. I'm actually sometime this week I got to sit down and do another order. I've got several colors that I've used up. No, we're just gonna have to use a couple coats of white. All right. Ideally, a lot of guys will use a light cream, so I need to put that on my list. Do a light cream. I'm just gonna go in with a white. Try to cover that plum up. Notice I did not water it down. I'm wanting this a little on the thick side. What I'll do is I'll just brush it out and try to stretch the paint. You know what I mean? Same with on the shield. Those are the kind of areas on a model that tend to get a lot of wear with use over time. Don't forget, we're going to do a wash. And then, the very last step, I will run through all of these and do touch-ups and highlights. So go ahead and hit the shield, red and white motif. Like so. I probably won't do the final coat on those two items until the final touch-up phase. There's our white. Actually, I think that'll look cool. Cool. Let that dry. Let's use this up. Turn space heater off. Nice and toasty now. Going with my buff, my traditional buff. That's my choice for flesh. I don't want it too thin, but when I'm doing a strip of troops like that, I'll put a drop or two of water in. Since I'm just doing this one trooper, one cavalryman. Get in there and get that arm. And put the shield on this guy because I wanted to get the flesh done all at once, because this is a shield that had the arm attached to it. There was two of those that were like that. And what I'd like to do is use my red flesh tone on these flesh colors. So I won't put a brown wash on the flesh. And one of the final stages is I will come through and I will put that red flesh tone wash. It's like a pinkish red. It really makes the flesh look realistic. It's a cheap little trick. I learned, picked up. So we want to spread that paint out. We don't want it to look too thick and gloppy. Since I didn't water this down at all. You can see what I'm doing, just going back and forth, back and forth. And that actually puts a nice texture on the leg, makes it look really realistic. Back of his arm. This is just my regiment brush, guys. This is the brush I'm going to use the majority of the time. See, I'm stroking down on that arm. I also keep a nice little fan running all the time down here. I'm like low. It just keeps the air circulating so it doesn't get stagnant. It creates some air movement. And it keeps it really pleasant down here with the humidifier running, coupled with that fan running. It's just always so comfortable down here. Very peaceful, very very good feel, if you get what I mean. Atmosphere is a lot important. You got a good atmosphere. You haven't got his ears, just a tiny little dab on the tip of the brush and get his ear like so. I really can't get to the other one, so it's not really relevant. Oh, I see something that I missed. The back of that plume, I missed that with the white, so let's get that real quick before the white dries up. There we go. These pewters. I'm trying to reuse some of that poster tack. I should have pitched most of it. This is the poster tack that was a little on the dry side, even though I worked it. There's really not, I can't think, unless that's a problem I haven't solved yet. I can't really glue these because they are just the feet. I guess one option would be to just put them on the horses, paint them on the horses. Make sure I use nice fresh poster tack with pewter pieces because they're so heavy. Alright, what else we got here, guys? Let's do the back of that shield real quick. We got new wood. I'm going to go back in the shot just a little bit. Not going to take much, just put a little dab will do ya. Looking here, we'll do the back of that shield. Because the base of their shields were wooden. You can't make them too heavy. For the dudes to wield. They did several layers. I watched a couple videos. Various cultures, they tended to use layers. Some of them use reeds. Some would use layers of strips, wood strips, to build up almost like a barrier, or almost like press board. Like so. Alright, got the back of his shield. I'll go ahead and hit his scabbard with this color also. Tomorrow these will all get based up, final assembly and then based. I'll put those photos on my Facebook group, so look for that. I've got 1 week. I'll put the final touches on some of my armies. I'm gonna have to do his feet last since his feet are in the putty. So what I'll do with their shoes and boots, I'll be doing those once they get onto the horses. That kind of approach. So this has to be cycled up to the kitchen and soaked in hot soapy water. Get that in hot soapy water. So there you go, guys. I've got just a little bit of bronze I'm going to do on the hilt of his sword. I'm going to do the strap for his scabbard. I'm going to let him dry really thoroughly, and then I'm going to do a medium, or actually a light brown wash on this guy and put him aside. Then he'll be getting close to getting the final touches put on him. Thanks for coming along. Hope this helps any of you new painters. Just, work through it just bit by bit. The more you do painting, the faster you get. The little pitfalls you'll start to see, like getting under arms and under the shield, around the shields, areas that typically can get missed by new painters. And you'll just pick that stuff up. My tip to all new painters is just start painting, right? You're going to reach bottlenecks where you get frustrated and just at that point just walk away. Do something else, come back when you're refreshed, and just touch up the bad spots. I do it. I've been painting for years. I got my brush, literally, I just went like that and slipped and got flesh all over the metallic. All right, see you next time, guys. Ciao.